Flammable.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Back at it again with another episode of 411 Lions. It's your boy King Keith. CB, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick for me.
It's your girl CB. You can follow me on Instagram at CB Love That for ya. You always laugh when I say that.
It's
You can
such a
follow
silly intro.
you can follow us on TikTok at 411 Lions. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify Podcasts, 411 Lions. I do want to thank our new listeners. We have had some new downloads, some new cities. I mean, shout out to there's a person in Alexandria, Virginia that is watching us faithfully. So
Okay.
shout out to you. Shout out to you, whoever you are.
I'm weak. Awesome. Well, obviously we're here to discuss Lions. And the Lions seem to just continue to have eventful week after eventful week. This week probably the most eventful of the weeks. CB, I'm gonna let you recap it for in a second, but obviously the Lions won a very, very close game against the Houston Texans.
Oh yeah.
26-23 was the final score. Sarah, could you tell me how we got to that score?
Listen, I got a lot to say. I mean, Lions fans definitely were on the edge of our seats. Excuse me. Halftime, obviously, we're down 23-7. So it wasn't looking so good, but I'm like, all right, Goff not having the best game. The Lions are going 3-and-out. We got interceptions, incompletions. I mean, everything that could have went wrong in the first half went wrong. We are the number 2 offense in the NFL. We are 8-1. We are the best start since 1954. We are the only team in NFL history to throw 5 interceptions, be down 16 points, come back and win the game. I mean, 7 straight wins. I mean, I would definitely say all grit. Like, when you want to know how tough a team is and how far you can push them to the brink, have everything go wrong. I mean, everything go wrong. And they still keep composure. They come back out. CJ Stroud throws an interception, I believe third quarter after halftime. And then we just start rolling. I mean, shout out to Carlton Davis, 2 interceptions. Shout out to Jake Bates. Hit the 58-yarder. Hit a 52-yarder. I mean, I don't know how we did it, but we did it. And we Lions fans, shout out to you for being in Houston, taking over that stadium. I mean, I heard Jared Goff. I heard "Let's Go Lions." We caused the false start with Houston. I mean, this game was nuts.
Yeah. Absolutely insane game. And I think that you pointed out a very good point that I was going to make as well, is the fact that when a team can play this bad and play this bad, at least initially in the game, against a good team at that, and still be able to come back and win. Obviously you don't want to see the team make these kind of mistakes and struggle in certain areas and things like that, but also sometimes you have a bad game. Sometimes you have a bad matchup. Sometimes the opposing team just comes out and plays well. Like, it completely happens. We saw it in the Ravens game last year, where the Lions were a really good team who made it really far, and they just had one really bad game against a really good team. And everybody's like, oh, well, they're not serious. They can't be contenders, blah, blah, blah. We saw that was false. But this game was really interesting to see because they kind of had that same kind of nothing going right, like everything going wrong for the most part. The only thing the Lions did consistently during last night's game was stop the run. Everything else was like very much just a struggle, and somehow they managed a way to pull it out. Guys that needed to make plays at some point in time made the plays. And it was really, really interesting to see the Lions kind of struggle in such a way. I don't think their offense has been rolling in general the past couple of weeks. But last night was just something completely different. You don't really see Jared Goff make that many mistakes. Mind you, some of those interceptions, one of them was on a Hail Mary, so like completely irrelevant. Like, you don't scratch it from the stat sheet because I guess it's still in there, but like completely didn't matter, didn't affect the game whatsoever. There was another pass that was batted down, or got batted and then turned into an interception, which, you could say ill-advised throw, maybe not, but batted passes tend to be bad luck when they end up in the hands of the defense. There was another play where I think it looked more like a fumble to me than actually an interception, but because it didn't hit the ground, they were like, we'll just rock with the interception. But I think that was a fumble, actually. So a couple of them really were just kind of like not the best decisions, but also not horrible. But when you look at the stat line, it's like, oh God, this guy has 5 interceptions. And shout out to the Lions for sticking with him. I know some teams would be like, okay, our starter has 5 interceptions. Like, let's go ahead and put him on the bench. Like, not forever. Obviously, you bring him back the next game. He's your guy. He's your starter. But maybe it's just not his night. But the Lions roll with him, and they realize that look, some of these are not necessarily the worst of decisions or the worst throws. I thought the one that was going to Jameson Williams, I'm not really sure what he was looking at. I think he was just trying to let Jamon make a play, but the safety pretty clearly was in position. So I'm not sure what that throw was. But yeah, shout out to the Lions for just kind of sticking with it. Like, keep going. Continue to do the things that you're doing well. They stopped the run all night. Joe Mixon averaged
Mm-hmm.
less than 2 yards per carry last night after having a fantastic, like, historical start to the season. So there were a lot of goods to this game, even without obviously the miraculous type things. The run game was very strong. The pass defense had its moments. Terrion Arnold struggled a lot last night,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was uncharacteristic for him past the first few weeks of the season, where he was kind of out of position. He got beat for a touchdown. He wasn't in bad position on the touchdown. He just the throw kind of got through. But other than that, I mean, they really did have some good moments, but they got down just so quickly. But like you mentioned, Mr. Jake Bates, I mean, everybody was so worried about him.
Woody
Everybody was
woo!
everybody was like, can this guy make a clutch kick? Can we rely on a guy? When they sent him out there for that first 58 yarder, I was like, oh, they do have faith in him. They hadn't really done it this year, but they have faith in him, sending him out for a 58-yard kick. And while it got very close to the goalpost, he nailed it. I mean, that kick would have probably been good from like 70 yards. Like, he truly does have a special leg. And the 52-yarder, same thing, was like 80% of the way up the post. Like, that thing would have been good from 70 plus yards probably. So, yeah, shout out to Jake Bates. I mean, I don't think anybody
Shout
could have
out.
predicted this. I don't think anybody could have predicted this.
Yeah, if you look at the stat line and you just take away the score and you say, look at this stat line, Detroit and Texans, who won this game?
Oh,
You're
Houston.
gonna say Houston.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's still shocking and it's still like, wow, we can really pull that out. I mean, like the Lions have been saying, and that's our saying, all grit. But to pull that out, and no other team has threw 5 interceptions, been down 16 points, and still managed to win the game. But yeah, I
Mm.
mean, when they brought Jake Bates out for the 52-yarder, I was a little nervous because the Texans missed theirs. They had just
Yeah.
missed theirs. I'm like, oh God, we about to go to overtime. They just missed. It was going up. And I was like, okay, it's left. Oh, snap is in. So
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and I really thought the decision that the Texans made to kick on 4th and 4. I know that hindsight is 2020, but while I was watching that game, I was like, I wouldn't kick this. Like, I would go for this. The Lions had gotten the stop on the previous play, but it was the play where Terry Arnold kind of did get there a little bit early on the pass interference play where they didn't call it. And just seeing how the Lions corners have been struggling a little bit to guard the Texas receivers on short routes. I'm a little surprised that
I
Houston
don't
didn't
think it
just
was
go
pass
for it.
interference.
I mean, he got there early, but also the receiver kind of stopped mid route. So it was one of those where, like, by the rule of the book, yes, but also, like, he was just kind of in good position and the receiver just kind of stopped. Also, the ball did get tipped by Anzalone before it got to them. So I think that might have factored into it as well. But either way, the Lions corners weren't having the best night, or at least he wasn't having the best night. And Amik Robertson also missed a couple plays early on.
Mm-hmm.
I would have took a shot there if I was Houston. I would have went for that. Because if you miss that field goal, then obviously that puts the Lions like right there. And they missed the field goal and then put the Lions like right there. So I probably would have. I think that it would have made more sense for them to go for that, but they didn't. They did it, and we'll we'll take it however we can get it.
If I were Houston, I gotta disagree. I think that the way that the momentum was shifting, I would have kicked the field goal. I would have kicked it.
The only thing is, I know that Fairbairn has made some deep field goals, but as used to we've gotten of kickers making high 50-yard field goals, that's a tough field goal to make. And it really wasn't even on him. It's so many variables that could go wrong in a situation like that that can affect that kick. And if you notice, the snap was high. That was
Mm-hmm.
it. If the snap wasn't high, I think Fairbairn probably makes the kick. But the snap was high. He rushed it a little bit and he pulled it to the left. That is it. That is all it takes on a 58-yard field goal. So I just think that when you have all those variables that can come into play that can lead to that going wrong, I think that the better decision would have been to just go for it on 4th and 4. Because either way, I mean, if you missed the field goal, you set the Lions in an even better field position than you would have if you didn't get the 4th and 4. So it's an interesting decision. I like the fact that the Lions have a coach that I think is on the other side of that, where I think Dan Campbell probably would have went for the kill in that kind of situation and tried to just get that first down and end the game there. To each his own, though. To each his own. I am not complaining about a win. And I know Lions fans are not complaining about a win because they were absolutely dominant in Houston as far as the fan base. I mean, Lions fans everywhere. They were that loud. They were literally that
Yes.
loud. Yeah, so very interesting to see. Very interesting game. Some other notes, of course. I think the offensive line shuffling thing was pretty interesting. Taylor Decker sat out this game, and Dan
Mm-hmm.
Skipper started at left tackle. And I don't have the statistics. I don't have the PFF numbers or things like that right now on hand, but I don't think Dan Skipper looked bad. He certainly didn't look out of place. Panay Sewell led up a sack actually during this game, which was very shocking to see. Obviously, you're not used to Sewell making mistakes or things like that. But the offensive line kind of did get going eventually in the run game, which was huge because the Lions also could not run the ball in that first half. But Gibbs started breaking some off. Montgomery started breaking some tackles. And Ben Johnson started throwing those swing passes and getting Gibbs rolling with that speed. Jamison Williams made a few very big catches
Yes.
and took some shots. Like, I think people were worried about his small frame being able to hold up, but he took some shots and held on to some balls where I'm like, that's mighty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. He, because I believe it was like he kind of got hit in that back or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he was down a little bit on one of them. He definitely took a nice, nasty little shot on one of them, but he held on to the ball and he kept the drive alive because without him catching a couple of those nasty shots he took, yeah, our drive would have been over.
Yeah, exactly. So it was so many just interesting plays. They finally got St. Brown going in the second half, which was good to see. Um, but yeah, I mean, just a not the game that you necessarily expected to see or wanted to see out of the Lions, but at the end of the day, they went on the road against a really good team in unfamiliar territory as well. They don't play the Texans very often. They're not familiar with this team or what they kind of like to do. And they weathered the storm, essentially. They weathered the storm. Same thing they did against Minnesota, where they started off slow. The pressure was getting to golf. All these things are going on, and they eventually adjusted. In this game, it took them a lot longer to adjust. But they did eventually adjust. So it makes me wonder, okay, well, this team really can kind of win games in any situation, um, which it makes me very optimistic that they can go pretty far, knowing that they can
Yes.
win under pretty much any conditions against good teams because Houston is a really good team. They figured out their pass blocking a little bit last night to where CJ Stroud had some time to throw, and the Lions were still effective, slowing them down. So kudos to the Lions, man. Kudos to the Lions. It wasn't the way anybody wanted it to be, but that's a big win.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, even when you look at the stats with the running game, we didn't have a spectacular running game either, with Gibbs having 19 carries, 71 yards. We had 105 in total, but he did start breaking out around the end of the game. But
Mm.
with Joe Mixon, I believe he only had 46 yards. So we definitely shut down that run for him. I mean, Jared Goff did not get sacked.
He did get sacked.
Did he?
He
Oh,
got sacked. Yeah,
oh. Well, I recorded, I saw a 0 on the box score. That's
I know he
interesting.
got sacked on the play that Sewell gave up. Also, again, the one where they called it an interception looked more like a sack fumble to me. But it wasn't a ton. It was pressure. It was pressure, and Houston was kind of dialing things up using different looks and things like that, different fronts. But they didn't get dominated necessarily either when it comes to the pass rush. One player that did stand out for Houston though was Jalen Petrie. He was everywhere in this game. He's kind of like their Brian Branch, and I did not know that he had like gotten that good. Like he was outstanding. He had the first interception. He was making so many stops in the run game. Aziz Al-Share like looked really impressive as well. that was a good game from Houston. Like Houston really did play a good game. This Lions team is just kind of cut different, I guess.
Yeah, Houston fans, I know your chest hurt. I know your chest hurt because I know they like, damn, we should have won this one. I know CJ Stroud, he was at the press conference kicking himself, but hey, it's the Lions for you, baby.
Yeah,
It's
and
the Lions for you.
you know the one thing with CJ Stroud is that CJ Stroud just cannot beat teams from the state of Michigan. Was a thing in college, is now a thing in
Hey,
the NFL. He just cannot beat teams from the state of Michigan, and that's okay because I love CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud is fantastic, um, but I don't think he likes seeing anybody from Michigan or Detroit coming his way.
you know
um,
CJ Stroud hate to see Detroit coming.
Fact. Speaking of seeing it coming, Zadarius Smith didn't play in this game, but he was very vocal, very visible on the sidelines, which is good to see. I think that his energy is really just going to be appreciated. Sierra, what's your
Mm-hmm.
expectations for him coming into this next week? 'Cause I'm sure he's going to suit up this time around.
Yeah, I believe he's gonna play. I know they said that he said that he knew this week, his body just needed to rest for this week. So definitely I expect him put that pressure, definitely lead that defense. He definitely was, being the voice of the defense when the Lions players were on the bench. So I definitely expect him to bring that high energy that he has brought. I mean, he was wearing his Lions gear. I believe he wore his cardies and all that,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
how everybody come here. We got to adopt him. But I definitely like his energy. I definitely feel that it's a good addition. Obviously, it's a good addition, but his attitude and his energy, the way, he was on that bench, I'm like, okay, he's visible. He not just standing there with the damn earpiece. So
Yeah.
I definitely expect him to be after that quarterback. What, Trevor Lawrence, or is he still injured, or we'll
He
see.
didn't play last week. I think he might play this week though, but we'll see what I guess practice looks like this week for the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looking forward to seeing Zadarius Smith play. And again, his energy looks very high, which I think this team could use. Aiden Hutchinson was also a guy that, like, on the field at least, the motor kept going. Like, he never stopped on plays, he never quit on plays. And Zadarius Smith is kind of a similar vein where he can win in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different ways. The Jags obviously aren't having the best season, so I expect to see some productivity from Zadarius Smith. I think that he'll benefit from the guys on the interior who have been good. I know the edges have been very much questionable. James Houston did have a sack, more of like a coverage sack kind of play last night, but he also had a play where he got to CJ Stroud dipping under Laramie Tunsil, which was good to see because that's how he got those 8 sacks a couple seasons ago. So we'll see if they can get this pass rush rolling. I mean, if they can get it to like league average at least, because right now they just don't have much on the ends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think at that point you can really, really expect to see this defense again get back to where Aaron Glenn really wants it to be, which they've already been balling out. Again, the defense has kind of been an MVP to me this season so far, seeing the improvements that they've made. But just a few more steps to go. Just a couple more things to get right. See if we can figure out that other outside corner position if Terrion Arnold can be consistent for us and if we can get a pass rush. But we'll see. I mean, the Jags are an interesting team for them to go up against now after running through a pretty tough schedule so far. I don't want to take anything lightly, but I mean at the same time, I know when they played Tennessee, CBU were very much like, they got it. Like we're not worried about Tennessee, and
I try
they
to tell
beat
you.
they beat Tennessee by like 40. So I'm not saying they're gonna beat Jacksonville by 40. I think Jacksonville is more talented on paper, but we'll see how next week's game goes.
I feel a demolition job coming.
Yeah, that would certainly be nice. A nice dominant win. The Lions have the Jags, then they play the Colts, so kind of getting the rest of that AFC South out the way. They've already played Houston and they already played Tennessee. And no losses. Again, kind of dominating out of the division opponents, which has been kind of a common theme for them.
What it
And and then they come back home to play the Bears, which I think is the Thanksgiving game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, the
Ooh.
28th.
Turkey Day against Chicago. Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, we got Chicago, because usually I thought it was Green Bay we usually have. Usually.
I mean, no, we play a pretty wide range of opponents usually on Thanksgiving, but It looks like Chicago is going to be the opponent this year, which again, it being a division rival, a team that is improved from last year, but is very clearly struggling right now. They're just so poorly coached. It just makes no sense to me. Um, should be a very interesting game. I mean, Caleb Williams has been very hit or miss, but Caleb Williams also feels like the kind of quarterback that the Lions would struggle against, considering the whole running around, doing the dancing in the pocket, creating extra snaps and extra time on plays and things like that. So we'll see. I mean, that's a bridge that we'll cross when we'll get there, but pretty interesting schedule coming up for sure.
Yeah, I definitely feel because we got Jacksonville, the Colts, we got the Colts, and then the Bears. I feel all three could win, but obviously, it's the season is getting longer. Guys get tired. We could maybe get a loss one of those games, but I see us winning all three of those games. I know the Colts have Anthony Richardson, and then they bounce back between him and Joe Flacco. Neither one is.
Yeah, I mean, I love to see the Lions go up against Joe Flacco versus Anthony Richardson. Personally, I think the Lions do better against those statuesque kind of quarterbacks versus the guys that again extend plays and do all those extra things outside of the pocket. Richardson also makes a lot of mistakes though. Like Brian Branch might have his own 5 interceptions in a game against Anthony Richardson. I'm not gonna lie. But at the same
Hello.
time, Richardson does those extra things. So we'll see. But I mean, looking back on it, 8-1 at this point in the season, like with this schedule, um, I don't think anybody would have been very upset by that.
Yeah, we look damn good. We look damn good. I mean, we putting the NFL on notice that, damn it, the NFC is coming through Detroit. It's coming through Detroit, and I'm
Yeah.
calling it.
I mean, it's hard to envision it any other way now. I mean, obviously the Chiefs had the best record in the league, but the Lions are right behind them, nipping at their heels. And the Chiefs obviously have some strange devil magic going on in Kansas City. I really just kind of don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. I'm glad we don't have to play them.
Listen, the Chiefs are in the AFC. We'll see you motherfuckers in the Super Bowl. Ah,
We'll see. I mean, if they even get that far, because they've looked very not good at certain points of time. But again, the devil magic is just strong over there. But
that offense looks terrible, but that defense, ooh, rock star.
yeah, which again gives me optimism because outside of this game, obviously, I mean the Lions offense did play terrible this game, but generally speaking, the Lions offense is really, really strong. So we'll see. I mean, these are bridges that we'll cross when we get there. But I mean, kind of at the midway point of the season, which is where we're at. This Lions team looks certainly like the best team in the NFC. And
Yes.
by a lot of people's standards, probably the best team in the NFL, which is just something that you never got from the Lions. Like never. I mean, even last year they looked really good, but like there was always the 49ers, there was always the Chiefs. Like there were always teams that's like they're a little better. Even the Cowboys, a lot of people wanted to put ahead of the Lions last year. The
The look.
Lions look, yeah, obviously that was BS, but right now they look to be about as formidable as anybody. Again, a couple of weaknesses to shore up, but the offense looks almost complete. The run defense is excellent. Pass defense is getting better. Just a couple little tweaks to make down the stretch run, but we could be looking at a number one seed, which leads to only needing to win 2 games to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, things look about as good as they possibly could right now, honestly.
We will have the number one seat. Just
Okay.
know that.
Bold proclamation. Bold proclamation.
Number one seed, we will win the division, and Chiefs will see you at the Super Bowl. The NFC is going through us, damn it. We got enough to beat San Francisco. It's not going through San Francisco.
Oh yeah, no. San Francisco has to make it to the playoffs first. I mean, they're in a tight race right now out there. They got the Cardinals are above 500 right now. The
I think
Rams
the
are like
Cardinals in first place.
they probably are right now, which
Last
is
time I checked.
yeah, they won again yesterday, a big win yesterday. They won again. So, I don't even San Francisco's not the big team to worry about. Honestly, when I look at the NFC, okay, so look, because we got a little bit more time. Who who is the team in the NFC that you think is the biggest threat right now?
Us in the NFC.
No, I mean to us, like biggest challenger.
I can't think of one. I'm just saying. I mean, the AFC, I guess I could think of one.
Oh, in the AFC, I can think of a few, but in the NFC, Because I mean, yeah, the AFC you got the Chiefs. I mean, the Bills look really good this year. The
Yep.
Ravens, I think, are going to get rolling at some point. The Steelers are 7-2, which is just wild.
Steelers can be had, but go ahead.
um, to me, call me crazy. I know the Commanders lead the NFC East, the Cardinals lead the NFC West, and I'm pretty sure the Falcons lead the South right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest challenge to the Lions in the NFC might be the Eagles.
Mm.
I, I know it deserves a little bit of radio silence, but I
Mm.
really think for one, the Eagles can run the ball. Saquon Barkley has been fantastic and is fantastic, and the Giants are the stupidest team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Um, Jalen Hurts is fine, but Jalen Hurts really looks good when he's got those receivers. AJ Brown is healthy. AJ Brown to me is a top 5 receiver in this league. I don't care what anybody says. Devontae Smith is fantastic. He's very much underrated because they don't really need him to be a number one. Obviously they can pass the ball, they can run the ball. They still have a really good offensive line. Their defensive line has some pieces. I think the secondary is where the Eagles struggle. Like they got to get the secondary together. They got a lot of young guys in the secondary, multiple rookies who are starting for them. They got our old friend CJ Gardner Johnson back there, but I think on paper this Eagles team is still very talented. I don't think the Commanders are ready yet. I think that they're going to come back down to earth, and I think that Steelers game kind of showed that. Is that they're just kind of a little bit young and a little bit flawed still. I think the Eagles are probably the best team because Minnesota is still fraud to me. I still believe Minnesota is fraud. Sam Darnold winning the game with throwing no touchdowns and 3 interceptions yesterday is insane. They're lucky right now. They're very, very lucky. I think the Eagles are the biggest challenge to the Lions in the NFC.
I'm gonna sip water on that one because only thing with the Eagles. All right, Saquon Barkley. We can be a little nervous with Saquon Barkley, but we do have a great run defense, one of the best. Secondary, I think our secondary can hold up with their receivers. I think
I
where
don't.
we
I don't. I
what?
don't. I don't think
Come
that.
on.
I think as a 1-2 punch, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are the most talented tandem of receivers in the league. I do. That's the best 1-2 punch in the league.
You don't think out when they healthy out in LA? Cup and
No.
what's boy name?
Puka?
Yeah.
No, I
Nakua.
don't. I don't. AJ Brown's consistency to me is more a testament. Puka obviously is really good. I'm not gonna call him a 1-year wonder or a flash in the pan. But AJ Brown has been the man for a while now and has been elevating offenses by his ability to just make contested catches. He's never open. He's like never open, and he catches so many passes. And Devontae Smith is outstanding. I don't want to see Terry Arnold match up against Devontae Smith. I don't. I don't think that's going to go well for the Lions.
Yeah, I don't know about only man coverage with him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of Alabama guys in that equation, and they know who's really good and who's not. But that's not a good matchup to me. I think that team could score a lot of points against the Lions. I don't think they could. I don't think they could hold the Lions down from scoring many points. But I think in a high scoring affair in a game like that, it comes down to who has the ball last.
I'm gonna say this about the Eagles: Saquon Barkley is who I would somewhat be worried about. I mean, when you do that crazy ass hurdle they did, number one. Number two, he's insanely talented. Number three, wasn't he damn clocked at what 22, 23 miles an hour one game? I mean, the guy is insane. I still think that our pass defense, obviously not great. I think we'll let them get some things. I'm not saying we're going to be shut down, but you may think they have the best wide receiver duo. I think we have the base safety duo.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Lions have literally by PFF's rank as the number 1 and number 2 safeties in the league. But
So,
okay, so who do you think is the biggest challenge to the Lions then in the NFC?
before that last game, I would have maybe said the Commanders or Steelers, but again, Steelers when it comes down.
Steelers in the AFC.
Oh, AFC.
Yeah, I'm talking about in the NFC. Who in the NFC is the biggest challenge?
Because the Falcons in the NFC, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could maybe see the Falcons if they receivers are healthy. What's the name? Kirk Cousins. That defense can get a little rowdy sometimes. A little rowdy. So maybe the Falcons. But like I said, Saquon Barkley, he can make me a little nervous seeing how we can stop him because he is insanely talented. I'm gonna have to go one of the two. It'll be a coin toss, but I think both of them can be had by us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think the Lions are better than both teams.
I think the AFC is where we need to be worried.
Well, I mean,
A
we
little
don't
bit.
because we don't play them in the playoffs, so we don't really got to worry about the AFC. We literally just will play the winner, whoever comes out of there.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The winner in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but we got to get to the Super Bowl. That's what I'm trying to figure out is who's our biggest challenge to getting to the Super Bowl.
Correct. The way I'm looking at the teams and the way I'm looking at things, like I said, I don't see us not making it at this point. We're 8-1. We look like the second best team in the NFL. Obviously, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills look pretty good too. So they're gonna have to battle it out. Those three in the mix. I don't really think the Steelers are gonna be in the mix, but NFC, I think if we get the number 1 seed, we play 2 games, whatever the case may be, we make it to the Super Bowl. I think anybody in the NFC can be had by us. That's just me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the Lions are the best team in the NFL. I think they're better than the Chiefs, but um, I just want to know who's the biggest challenge. To me, I think Philly is the team that worries me the most. I don't know what their record is right now, but they're the team that worries me the most if we were to play a playoff game. Like today, that's the only team that I'm like, ugh, them, and I can't count out the Rams. I can't if they're healthy either.
Well,
So
you know what? Who no, I take that back. Buccaneers.
yeah, I think the Lions just had a bad game against them.
That
Though.
was
Like
our only loss though. I ain't gonna
yeah,
say that they can't be had, but
I think the offense was just kind of out of sync in that game. Like they really missed a lot of opportunities that I just don't see them missing in any other games. I mean, they are definitely a threat though. They are, but they also lost a couple of their receivers to injury. Not sure when Mike Evans or Chris Godwin will be back or if they'll be back, but I think that's a really really big deal for them. But
well, yeah,
we'll
if they
see.
healthy, I
Yeah,
would
but
say them.
their record right now is so iffy. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, they can make a run, but I think they're like 4-6 right now.
Yeah, when
So
they're healthy, they make me a little nervous, but we can get this thing done. But I think looking at us now, we coming out the NFC 8-1. We coming out the NFC. We look good if we healthy. Who do you think is coming out of the AFC at this point?
I mean, old devil magic is kind of hard to overcome. Somebody on the Chiefs sold their soul. I don't know who it is, but they did.
The referees. Oh, I'm
It's,
sorry.
the block field goal thing is just like what? Like they should have lost that game. They absolutely should have lost that game.
Denver, you had one job, and I'm so pissed.
I,
One job.
devil magic is strong. I'm telling you, it's something there. It's really something there. I don't really get it, and it's going to be hard to overcome. But they're not the team to me. I mean, obviously they are the team, but like if there was a team that I'd expect the Lions to be the ones to meet with at the end of if they make it to the Super Bowl, who they will be meeting with, I'm between Buffalo, which I don't really know if Buffalo's defense is going to get it done, and Josh Allen still is. It still throws me off a little bit with the mistakes in the decision making. He's been better this year, but still throws me off a little bit. But if I had to pick a team right now, it will be the team we played last night.
Really?
Yeah, I'm impressed by Houston. I think they played a really good game last night. Mind you, they were down their top 2 receivers. Nico Collins will be back next week. Will Anderson didn't play last night. They had the Lions frustrated. And I know the Lions were making mistakes. Some of them were self-inflicted, but that Houston team is good. I mean, CJ Stroud is fantastic. Their offensive line isn't great, obviously, or hadn't been great, but they made some necessary improvements to allow him to be more comfortable last night. They clearly can run the ball against anybody that's not Detroit. They got dangerous receivers once Nico Collins gets back. Nico Collins was leading the NFL in receiving yards before he got hurt. So shout out to the Michigan man. He's great. Tank Dell's another good option. They got a good tight end. They force pressure. Like I'm pretty sure they have the highest pressure rate in the NFL currently on the defensive line. And seeing Jalen Petrie and Aziz Alshare and what's my man's name at corner, Stingley as well. They got some guys on defense. Like that play where Stingley was like shadowing JMO on a deep route. Mind you, Golf underthrew the ball. And if he threw the ball further, then there's a chance JMO does beat him down the field. But just a slight underthrow, and Stingley goes up. I mean, he dropped it, but he's a corner. That's why he's a corner, because he can't catch. But that play that he made, I mean, he can be a number one corner. And Alshire and Petrie were like forces last night. Like they were shutting down. It was not really the Texans defensive line. It was those two guys blowing everything up within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. They are impressive. I think Houston, at their best, is the best team in the AFC after seeing them play last night. They
You
were
think
really
so?
good. They were the only thing that has been holding them back is the interior pressure that CJ Stroud has been dealing with, and they handled that last night. So I am worried about Houston. That's the team that I'm like, ugh, like the Lions really should have lost that game. So that's
Yeah.
my pick. I haven't seen enough of Buffalo's defense to really know, but I mean their offense is scary. They have a very scary offense, but at the same time, receiver wise, is kind of gadgety guys. Keon Coleman's pretty good, but
But can
um,
Josh Allen beat Patrick Mahomes?
exactly
When it counts.
that's the question. I don't think that Buffalo is the team that's going to get by a team like Kansas City. I don't think they get by a team like Houston. I don't think they slow them down, especially if they play a game in Houston. I think Houston's going to roll. So maybe in the snow, they might get them in a cold game for sure. But yeah, Houston's the team for me. I was mighty impressed. D'Amico Ryans is a great coach. They got a great offensive coordinator. I mean, they looked really good last night. They hadn't looked like a 6-3 team up until that point, but last
They
night
hadn't.
they had it. But last night, for large portions of that game, they looked like a 6-3 team. They looked a little better than a 6-3 team, actually. So
I don't see that.
we'll take it. I mean, CJ Stroud made a couple mistakes last night too. That was a little bit uncharacteristic. The one play where he just didn't see the guy and CD3 called up and picked it off. But I mean, if he makes that play, that game, the Lions lose that game.
If, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I think it's going to be a battle between the Ravens and the Chiefs. Who's going to duke it out? Because the Ravens, their defense scares me. Their offense scares me, but in a good way. Defense in a bad way.
Yeah, I was gonna say that secondary is not. I mean, Wiggins, he'll be
Trash.
fine later on, but I think they can be beat in the pass defense. Like they can be beat.
They can be had. Chiefs defense scary in a good way. Chiefs offense scary in a bad way. I mean,
For now,
I know. I know Denver. Denver is like, it's Denver. Nobody really cares.
Yeah. They're
But
like the young feisty team.
you telling me that you can only score 16 against Denver?
Oh no, Denver's defense is good. Hang on now. Denver has probably the best secondary in the league.
Denver's defense is good, but this is the Chiefs. They are supposed to be 7-0. This is Patrick Mahomes. They're supposed to be rolling. How come the Chiefs can only score 16 points?
I don't know. I think that's a game against a team like that. That's how you kind of got to beat them. I think that they did what they need to do. I just think that the field goal thing at the end was like, what the hell? Like, ain't no way they just blocked this field goal. Like, knock
Denver.
it off.
And that's why Denver gonna fall, because Denver, they gonna find ways to just lose.
I don't blame them for that. I blame the demons. I blame the demons. But yeah, I mean, Kansas City is Kansas City. At the end of the day, they are the team. If I had to make a pick right now, Houston's the team that I expect to see waiting at the other end right now. Baltimore, that pass defense, shaky. Baltimore refuses to go out and get like a receiver. I mean, they brought in Deontay Johnson. He's okay. He's fine. Zay Flowers is good, but like a gadget guy. They need a receiver, like a big body, go get it kind of guy. And they just don't, they won't do it for Lamar. I don't get it. And I don't know. I just think that if you stuff up their run game a little bit, they're not going to score that many points. And that defense is it's got some good players, but it's got some bad players. Kyle Hamilton is so overrated to me. I'm so tired of hearing about Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton cannot cover one-on-one very well. People need to stop comparing him to Brian Branch. Brian Branch is a vastly superior player in my opinion. That's a hill I'm willing to die on for sure. Um, but I
But
don't I don't know.
oh, go ahead.
I don't think they're complete. I don't think they're complete. We'll see though. They play the Steelers, and our group chat has been going crazy because we got a Ravens fan and a Steelers fan in the group chat, and they're
Oh
like, "We gonna beat y'all ass. We gonna beat y'all ass." I don't think either one of them teams gonna be there at the end. I don't. I don't.
yeah, you said something about the Ravens. You said if somebody can stuff up that run game. Have you seen Derrick Henry? That
Yeah,
ain't no easy task.
I have seen Derrick Henry, but I also have seen. Well, the Ravens schedule hasn't been that easy. I'm not gonna say the Ravens schedule has been that easy, but
It ain't.
I I don't know. I've also seen Derrick Henry be stuck more in Tennessee. In Tennessee, obviously didn't have Lamar Jackson, didn't have that passing game. But if you really commit the resources to slowing him down a little bit, like if you can hold him to like 50, 60 yards,
Mm,
I don't know. I think the Ravens look a lot more beatable this year than last year.
you think so?
I think last year was the year for them to do it, and they didn't do it. And I don't know how or why they didn't do it. Um, I don't
Mm.
know. This year, I don't know. Their offense doesn't look as dynamic to me. Like it really looks like Derrick Henry gets rolling. If he gets rolling, we're good. If he doesn't, everything falls back on Lamar's shoulders again. And I don't know if that's where you want to be. As much as I love Lamar, I don't think that that's where you want to be because he don't got those kind of weapons to help him out.
He got his
So
legs. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the AFC is whatever. Like we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If we get there, the Lions look like they're on their way there right now. Um,
Cruising for bruising.
Yeah, but I think Houston is that's the team that I'm like I really liked what I saw last night from some of their guys.
So Houston, we have a problem.
Oh, for sure. That's
Oh,
yeah, that's a good team. That's a really good team. It's a really good
good.
ball.
Well, we still won.
True, but which speaks to just how good we are because we beat them while playing a lot worse than they did. So we'll see, but we'll go ahead and wrap it up from there.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate y'all for listening. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it rolling. So please continue to show love to our clips. You know the vibes. TikTok, Twitter, anywhere where y'all be able to find us. But CB, you wanna go ahead and wrap it up?
You can also follow us on Apple, Spotify, 411 Lions. You can follow us on TikTok, 411 Lions. Leave your comments, leave your opinions, whatever you want to leave. We will see you next week. CB signing off.
Adios.